my father my kidney to save his life. Months later, he announced my sister was inheriting the family business I'd worked for years to build, saying I was too emotional for leadership. Their faces turned pale when I revealed. The moment I knew my father didn't love me wasn't when he gave the company to my sister. It was 3 months earlier, as I lay in the recovery room after giving him my kidney, and he was already on his phone closing deals. My name is Sol, and I just turned 35. Until recently, I was the chief operating officer at Hughes Enterprises, our family's pharmaceutical distribution company, the same company I helped build from a regional player into a national powerhouse, the same company that's now being handed to my Instagram influencer sister on a silver platter. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me take you back to that hospital room. Daddy, you should be resting, I mumbled through the post-surgery haze. The fluorescent lights made everything too bright, too harsh. Just one quick call, sweetheart, he replied, not even looking up from his screen. Oliver needs my sign-off on the Singapore deal. My mother sat between our beds, methodically applying hand sanitizer. Gilbert, perhaps you should listen to her, the doctors said. The doctors don't run a multi-million-dollar company, he snapped. Besides, I feel fine, so's the kidney doing its job perfectly. I smiled weakly, trying to ignore the stabbing pain in my side. That's when my sister Isla breathed in, designer handbag swinging, phone held high. Okay, everyone, look this way, my followers are dying to see this heartwarming family moment. She positioned herself for the perfect angle, her perfectly manicured finger, hovering over the record button. Ela, please, I groaned. Not now, don't be such a drama queen. Sol, this is going to get so many views, family first, organ donation blessed. Mother adjusted her pearl necklace. Ila's right, dear, this kind of publicity is good for the company, it shows our values. I closed my eyes, trying to block out the artificial cheerfulness of Ila's voice, as she narrated our family's beautiful journey to her followers. She hadn't even visited during the pre-surgery tests, hadn't offered to help with Dad's recovery plan, but here she was, mining our trauma for likes. 3 months later, I stood in front of the mirror in my apartment, examining the fresh scar across my abdomen. The angry red line had faded to pink, a permanent reminder of my sacrifice. My phone buzzed with a message from Mohammed, our company's legal advisor, and my closest friend. You coming to this dinner? Your father's insisting everyone be there. I texted back, on my way, any idea what this is about? Nothing good, bring your game face. The restaurant was one of those overpriced steakhouses where deals are made over Wagyu and whiskey. Everyone was already seated when I arrived, Mother in her signature pearls, Isla documenting the breadbasket for her stories, Oliver nervously adjusting his tie, and my father looking healthier than he had in years, thanks to my kidney. Finally, Isla chirped, we can order now. Dad raised his hand, commanding silence like he did in board meetings. Actually, I have an announcement to make. He smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. As you all know, my recent health scare made me think about the future, about legacy. My stomach clenched, Mohammed wouldn't meet my eyes. It's time to announce my successor at Hughes Enterprises. He reached for Ila's hand. Someone who embodies the modern face of our company, someone who understands today's market, social media influence. The room started spinning. This couldn't be happening. Isla will be taking over as CEO, effective next quarter. Champagne bottles popped. Isla squealed, already reaching for her phone. Mother dabbed at her eyes with a monogrammed handkerchief. Oliver stared intently at his water glass, but the word escaped before I could stop it. Dad, I've been running operations for 10 years. I increased our market share by 40%, I built the Asian expansion strategy. I gave you my kidney. I wanted to scream, but he cut me off with a wave. Sol, you're brilliant at operations, nobody denies that. But leadership requires a certain detachment. You're too emotional, too invested. Business isn't personal. I looked down at my untouched plate. My sister's voice washed over me as she live-streamed her amazing news to her followers. Too emotional. The words echoed in my head as I remembered all the nights I'd stayed late at the office, all the vacations I'd cancelled, all the relationships I'd sacrificed for this company, for him. Mohammed's hand found mine under the table and squeezed. I squeezed back, hard enough to hurt, as Ila's perfectly practiced acceptance speech filled the air. Business isn't personal, I thought, watching my father beam at his chosen heir. Well, Daddy, we'll see about that. I spent the next morning in my office, staring at the business proposal I'd written with my father 5 years ago, the one that had saved the company during the market crash. My hands shook as I flipped through the pages, each one marked with our shared notes, our shared vision. A knock at my door made me jump. Come in. Mohammed entered, closing the door quietly behind him. You okay? You haven't answered any of my texts. Just peachy. I gestured at the box on my desk. Want to help me pack? You're not seriously quitting, are you? Apparently, I don't have the right temperament for leadership. I mimicked my father's condescending tone. Too emotional. Mohammed sank into the chair across from me. Did you know yesterday morning, your father had me draw up the paperwork in secret? And you didn't warn me. I couldn't. It had me sign an NDA. He leaned forward. Listen, this doesn't make sense. Isla has zero experience. The board will do exactly what my father tells them to do. I stood up, pacing, just like they did when he wanted to push out his partner 20 years ago, just like they did when he wanted to bury those safety reports in 19. A sharp knock interrupted us. Mother stood in the doorway, perfectly coiffed as always. Darling, do you have a moment? Mohammed took the hint and left, shooting me a concerned look as he closed the door. What do you want, Mother? She perched on the edge of a chair, smoothing her skirt. I wanted to see how you're doing after last night. I laughed bitterly. How I'm doing? Let's see, I gave dad my kidney, ran his company while he recovered, and my reward is watching Isla get handed everything I worked for. How do you think I'm doing? Don't be dramatic, Soul. This is about what's best for the company. Best for the company. I grabbed my laptop, pulling up Isla's latest Instagram post. Here's your new CEO promoting diet tea to teenagers, really stellar business acumen. Mother's lips tightened. Isla has qualities you lack. She understands image presentation. You've always been so intense, so focused on details and numbers instead of relationships. You mean I actually care about running the business properly? See, this is exactly what your father means. You're too emotional, too quick to argue. A true leader needs polish, grace. I cut in. Like Ila's grace when she skipped dad's surgery to attend Coachella. Mother stood abruptly. I won't discuss this. If you insist on being difficult, the decision is made. Accept it gracefully, or prove your father right about your unsuitability. After she left, I stormed into my father's office. He was on the phone but held up one finger, making me wait like a child. Finally he hung up. Something on your mind, sweetheart? Don't sweetheart me. What's the real reason? And don't give me that emotional, he sighed, removing his glasses. Business requires killer instinct, Soul. The ability to make hard decisions without letting feelings cloud your judgment, like the decision to give your unqualified daughter control of $1 billion company. Leela understands the modern market. She has influence, connections, followers. I slammed my hand on his desk. She posts about juice cleanses and yoga retreats, while I've been keeping this company afloat. Lower your voice. His tone turned icy. This display is exactly why you're not ready. Isla will learn the business side. You never learn to control your emotions. I stared at him, the man wearing my kidney who couldn't even meet my eyes. You're right, I said quietly. I am emotional. I actually care about things like loyalty, truth, family. He held up a hand. No, let me finish. You want killer instinct. Watch and learn. I walked out straight to my office, grabbed the proposal from my desk, and in the parking garage, opened the metal trash bin, and struck a match. The pages curled and blackened, years of work turning to ash. My phone buzzed, a text from Muhammad. Don't do anything rash. Come to my office tomorrow, I have an idea. I watched the last page burn, remembering how proud my father had been when we finished it, how he'd hugged me and said, this is our legacy. Another text came from Isla. Daddy says you're upset. Don't worry, you can help me learn the ropes, maybe run my social media, you're good with details. I took a picture of the ashes and sent it to Muhammad with one word, tomorrow. They wanted killer instinct. I'd show them exactly how cold-blooded I could be. But first I needed a plan.